To protect the campus Belle Winnie, the childhood friend was overpowered by 8 thugs. When the police found him, his entire pants were soaked in blood. The once arrogant young master became the laughingstock of ridicule, and even the campus Belle who had promised to repay his kindness avoided him. Brother Charles, they keep asking me, if you can still be a man. I really don't want to answer these questions and hurt you, so I can only stay away from you. Only I, undeterred by the rumors, resolutely upheld the old agreement between our families and married him. On our wedding day, he said to me in front of everyone, even if I reluctantly marry you, you will never compare to Winnie. Everyone laughed at me, calling me a simp, loving Charles James without any boundaries, hilarious, who said I came to love him. That night, I locked him in the basement and played the video of him with the thugs over and over again. At the wedding, I knelt on one knee with a pious expression. I slipped the ring symbolizing love onto the ring finger of Charles James's left hand as he sat in a wheelchair. Charles, from now on, whether in poverty or wealth, in sickness or in health, I will treat you sincerely and never let you down. The venue erupted in thunderous applause, accompanied by faint, almost imperceptible sneers. James's parents wept with joy, as if they had finally sold a defective piece of inventory at a high price. Only Charles James's face was pale, his eyes red, staring at me with deep resentment. Spoke the only line of the entire wedding banquet. Alice, you will never compare to Winnie. Winnie, the love of his life that would never change. That day, Winnie was cornered in an alley by a group of thugs. I hid at the entrance of the alley, took a photo, and sent it to Charles James. Your beloved is in danger. Come quickly. The love of youth is always an impulsive, reckless rush. Charles James charged into the alley alone, his spoiled and willful nature making him completely unaware of the danger. Even in the humiliating situation of being beaten to his knees, he still shouted with unyielding spirit, if you have any issues, come at me, don't bully a young girl. So, those hooligans laughed and touched his handsome, delicate face, truly directing their aggression toward him, from pretending to curse with bravado, to cowardly begging for mercy, and finally to pitiful, broken cries. It took Charles James only a few dozen seconds. When the police arrived, Charles James was already ruined, both physically and mentally. The doctor said he had a massive infection, and as a last resort, they had to create an artificial stoma. He would have to live with a colostomy bag for the rest of his life. Winnie, whom he had heroically saved, had just promised Winnie's parents a moment earlier that she would take care of Charles James for the rest of her life. The next moment, upon hearing this devastating news, she let out a wow and ran into the bathroom. The James' parents, who had always been indifferent to me, suddenly became very warm and affectionate. Alice, our Charles only has you. You've liked him since you were little. You won't look down on him, right? Actually, we didn't say it, but we've already decided long ago that you are the only daughter-in-law for our James family. With reddened eyes and a deeply moved expression, I held back my laughter until my stomach ached. Auntie, uncle, please don't be like this. My love for Charles isn't that shallow. No matter what he becomes, I will love him. So, let's get married. The thought of being able to see Charles James in this miserable, ghostly state every day from now on made me incredibly happy. So, when faced with Charles James's comment that I wasn't as good as Winnie, I generously reached out and touched his cold, trembling cheek. It's okay. It's not Winnie who has you. It's me, and that's enough. As the wedding was about to end, Winnie appeared gracefully, wearing a dress that looked even more like a wedding gown than mine. Holding back tears, she tried her best to play the role of a critical yet well-meaning senior. Alice, I gave up Brother Charles for you so that he could have a better life. You must always remember that the title of Mrs. James is something you fought hard to take, so, you must do better than I ever did. In one sentence, Charles James was left trembling all over, his gaze at Winnie filled with deep affection yet also timid. He wished he could pour out all his love without any restraint. He never would have imagined that during his time in the hospital, behind every one of Winnie's earnest visits, there was a sum of money provided by his parents. My family may not be wealthy, but I am their only daughter. My parents would never allow me to marry a disabled person. Brother Charles's situation has caused a lot of gossip at school. Coming to see him every day puts me at risk. My parents say I should use this time to work instead, to help support the family. Facing James's parents, Winnie spoke with a sharpness that made her sound like an unfeeling AI, but for the sake of their son, What could they do? They could only force a smile and offer money. We're just asking you to keep him company, not to change his diapers. Consider it a job. The pay is negotiable, and if you ever need help in the future, our James family will take care of it. So how could she not come? On one hand, to dispel her own resentment over Charles James's lack of ambition, which prevented her from smoothly marrying into a wealthy family. On the other hand, she wanted to disgust me and make Charles James unable to forget her. As long as Charles James couldn't forget her, she would always have something to gain in the James family. She looked at my silence, thinking she had victory in her grasp. Alice, even though you and Charles are married, you can only be a couple in name. The doctor said his body isn't suitable for intimacy, let alone having children. He can't relieve himself on his own. You'll have to catheterize him manually. Even if the colostomy bag isn't clean, you'll have to reach in and clean it bit by bit. He's too proud to let a nurse do these things for him, so you'll have to do it yourself. With every word she spoke, Charles James's face flushed a deeper shade of humiliation, as if recalling these awkward and humiliating scenes. He looked at me with eyes full of hatred. I simply smiled. Winnie, you're still so thoughtful, but my hands are clumsy, and I can't learn how to catheterize or clean the colostomy bag. How about you demonstrate it for me? Winnie's triumphant expression froze on her face. She probably never expected that I, who had always been a sycophant catering to Charles James's whims, would one day lose respect for her, the white moonlight, and turn against her. Biting back, she panicked, forcing out a sentence with great difficulty. Enough, I came here to sincerely wish Brother Charles well, not to endure your insults. After saying that, she maintained her last shred of dignity. He left with his head held high, not even looking back. Honey, Winnie thinks helping you with the catheter is an insult, I said lightly, with a tone full of pity, to Charles James, but he bristled like a hedgehog. Alice, you're the one who's malicious, so stop speculating about others. It was my decision not to let Winnie take care of me. She's the woman I love, and I would never want her to suffer with me. And you, he lifted his chin, as if only in front of me could he reclaim that young master's pride. Since you chose to jump into the fire pit yourself, I'll give you this chance. Serve me like a beast of burden. He seemed completely willing to save Winnie, with no regrets. Yet, when faced with the bed in the bridal chamber, covered with dates, peanuts, and longans, he broke down, tears streaming down his face. Alice, you shouldn't have sent me that photo. He clenched the dates and longans tightly, their thick juices mixing into a color resembling dried blood as they dripped down. Why didn't you call the police earlier? Why didn't you warn me that there were so many people in that alley? I couldn't possibly fight them all. You should have stopped me. You shouldn't have let me go. It's you. It's all your fault. You ruined me. I watched coldly as his face twisted beyond recognition, that face blurred, overlapping with the one from my previous life. Yes, my previous life. In my previous life, he also choked my neck with such ferocity, scolding me over and over again. You ruined me. However, in my previous life, he wasn't blaming me for failing to stop him from saving Winnie. Instead, it was, Alice, you were the one trying to be a hero. Who can you blame for being raped? Why should I be responsible for your mistake? Why should I not be able to marry the woman I love most because of you? You ruined me. In my previous life, I was the one who saved Winnie. To buy time for the police to rescue us, I played a siren. Recording at the entrance of the alley, while the thugs scattered in panic, I grabbed Winnie's arm and ran out without a second thought. But when those thugs realized what was happening, she pushed me right into their blockade. I endured the most brutal abuse, losing all dignity when I was sent to the ICU. Yet Winnie, the one who started it all, knelt before Charles James, begging him. I was just too scared at the time, afraid I'd never see you again. Charles, please save me. Don't let Alice sue me. She's been hurt so badly. She'll definitely take revenge on me. My life will be ruined by her. And so Charles James, who had always been cold toward me, held flowers and a ring, kneeling on one knee before my parents at my hospital bedside. He told me that Winnie had been in a serious car accident while fleeing from the crime. Alice, she's already dead. Your suffering is over. We were childhood sweethearts. We were even betrothed as children. Marry me. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Let me help you out of the darkness. Okay. My will was weak. After the intense pain, I desperately wanted to find someone to rely on, even though the James family, who had grown increasingly disdainful of my family as their business expanded, were extremely hostile toward me, blaming me for ruining Charles James's life. Yet, under Charles James's insistence and my parents' pained and anxious gazes, I still agreed. Charles James was indeed very good to me, completely changing from his previous coldness toward me. He clung to me every day with endless sweet words, leaving me no time to dwell on Winnie's death, only wanting to start anew. I thought that my wedding with Charles James would be a crooked period at the end of my youthful love and sorrow, but on the day of the wedding, I saw Winnie, who was supposed to be dead, appear in the groom's lounge, kissing Charles James without any restraint. "Alice is tainted. You're not allowed to touch her. I'll make up for the wedding night here." The entire world I had built with all my strength, teetering on the brink, came crashing down. I broke down, screaming at them hysterically, asking why. I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't owe anyone anything. Why were they tormenting me so cruelly, pushing me to the brink of death? In return, Charles James grabbed my neck and choked me tightly. "You don't owe us, Alice. How dare you say that? If it weren't for your parents insisting on prosecuting Winnie, how could I have come up with the idea of faking her death? Are you pitiful because you were raped? You've already become Mrs. James, while Winnie has to hide for the rest of her life. It's you who ruined us. In my previous life, I was nearly strangled to death by him, yet I received no mercy in return. In this life, I watch coldly as Charles James endures the pain of my previous life, struggling in agony. It was you who ruined me." I shrugged my shoulders and let out a long sigh. The initial thrill of revenge brings me comfort, so I decide to drop the act. "Yeah, I did harm you. So what? If you have the guts, get up from that wheelchair and hit me." Charles James's eyes, filled with bloodshot veins, suddenly widened. He looked at me in disbelief, as if he suddenly didn't recognize me anymore, or as if he didn't understand what I was saying. "You, what did you say? You, say it again." I smiled and silently walked up to him. Without any warning, I reached out and grabbed his hair, yanking him straight out of the wheelchair. Ignoring Charles James's intense screams, I swiftly straddled him. I slapped him left and right, one after another, with clear movements and brutal force. "Scum!" I looked down at him from above. "What kind of trash are you to dare put on airs with me? Still think you're some precious young master? You're just a cheap slut who can't wait to throw yourself at people. Why should I treat you like royalty? Don't know your place? I'll beat it into you until you understand." Charles James was beaten so badly by me that his entire body went stiff and convulsed, unable to even let out a whimper. I know, this is what it's like after being violated. You become jumpy at the slightest thing, seeing danger everywhere. Before the other party could resort to violence again, they were already so terrified that they completely lost the ability to resist. But what does that matter? In my past life, he treated me the same way. I can't be magnanimous enough to return it to him exactly as it was, so I paid him back double, until his colostomy bag leaked, emitting a foul odor. Only then did I leisurely stand up. I stretched my wrists and said, "Clean it up yourself. If I come back later and see the floor still dirty, I'll beat you to death." The icy voice sent Charles James trembling violently. He covered his swollen, reddened face, staring blankly for a long moment before bursting into tears. Pitiful and fragile, truly like a white flower swaying in the wind, the fear of being hurt by me in his subconscious made him lose the courage to look directly at me. He just muttered in disbelief, repeating, Are you still Alice? Are you still Alice?" I curled the corner of my mouth and told a dark joke. "No, I'm villain, so just accept your fate and don't make me angry again." After saying that, I left the room and slammed the door shut with a loud bang. I lit a cigarette, slumping on the living room sofa. I took a few deep, satisfying puffs, feeling completely at ease both physically and mentally. Then I answered my dad's call. "Dad, have you found the person?" "Good, I'll head over now." I entered the agreed-upon restaurant and spotted Bruce almost immediately. He stood tall and handsome, radiating the spirited confidence of youth. When he shook my hand, his eyes were clear and bright, and his words were sincere and straightforward. "Missin, I heard from your father that you want to invest in my project. I won't let you down." Looking at the project proposal he handed me, which I had already read countless times, a sense of regret welled up in my heart. In my past life, I was the first to come across his tender document online, The project, named QA, was a fully intelligent AI companion initiative that sparked my admiration and revealed a business opportunity. So before the wedding, I persuaded Charles James to invest in this project together with my family. Later, the James family also leveraged this project to rise among the elite, becoming the wealthiest family in the region overnight. But after my marriage fell apart, I was imprisoned and abused by Charles James, who threatened to expose my most shameful videos to force my parents to hand over their original shares, completely pushing them out of the game. Bruce suffered even more in a family business like the James family, starting with a heart full of passion, only to have his achievements stolen by the team he trusted most, leaving him burdened with the stigma of plagiarism and his future completely ruined. At the end of his rope, he went to Charles James's villa, wanting to ask Charles James, the one who had once recognized his talent, why he had personally destroyed his gift. Charles James wasn't there, only me, moving mechanically in circles in the garden like a prisoner on a break. We stared at each other through the iron gate. He was haggard and disheveled, with unkempt hair and a dirty face. Like a madman, I looked gaunt and haggard, my gaze unfocused. Like a fool, I'm sorry. I was the one who chose you. I'm the one who harmed you. I felt ashamed and guilty, but Bruce suddenly understood. So, it wasn't Charles James, it was you. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's mine, for trusting the wrong person. In my past life, Bruce died earlier than I did. He risked everything to steal evidence of the James family's illegal smuggling, and in the last second before he was killed, he submitted the incriminating documents one by one. A genius of the ages, destroyed by vulgar evil. In this life, the tragedy of mutual destruction need not happen to him. I took out the contract I had prepared long ago. These are the terms I've drafted. During the contract period, you will be given the greatest freedom and authority. Additionally, there is one very important condition. After the product is launched, the chief planner column will always bear your name. Although my family is not a large enterprise, we are quite adept at financing. This project is enough to let me turn the tables decisively in front of the James family. As for how to make it self-destruct, there are already candidates ready to charge into battle for me. Upon hearing my assurance, Bruce was momentarily stunned, then a look of delight, as if meeting an old friend, appeared on his face. He is a meticulous and proud man. For him, nothing is more important than putting his name on it. You trust me a lot. He smiled, a small dimple appearing at the corner of his mouth, looking quite adorable. Can you tell me why? Just a feeling, I said. The first time I saw you, I felt you would trust me too. He didn't ask any more questions. Without hesitation, he took out a pen and swiftly signed his name on the contract. Then he extended his hand, his eyes deep and profound, with flickers of starlight igniting within. Pleasure working with you. After signing the contract, Bruce went to the studio I had prepared for him. I had a meal with my parents after being reborn. I immediately told them my plan. They have always trusted me, and with hardly any hesitation, they pretended to reluctantly agree to my marriage with Charles James. They also used their connections to help me secure Bruce from a group of investors. Sweetie, eat more. Mom always feels like you've lost weight. My mother is a gentle and beautiful woman. Thinking back to how my family went bankrupt for me in my past life, to the point where she couldn't even afford a decent lipstick, my heart feels as if it's being squeezed, wringing out an endless stream of hatred. My father doesn't say much, only continuously adding food to my bowl. I ate heartily. Now that I'm full, I have plenty of energy to torment people. Our family of 3 didn't talk much. After the meal, we each went about our own business with tacit understanding. I returned to the home I shared with Charles James. He truly didn't clean up the mess on the floor. A young master like him, no matter how much grievance he suffers, will only instinctively blame others and seek protection. He would never give up his innate desire for a comfortable life just because he got beaten up. So I didn't waste any words on him and just grabbed his hair, dragging him downstairs. Beneath the floor was a basement I had specifically asked the workers to dig out during the renovation. No, don't, Alice, Alice, are you crazy? You can't do this to me. Only then did he snap out of his daze, realizing what he was about to face, and began struggling frantically. He whimpered pathetically, my parents won't let you get away with this, won't let me get away with it. I threw him directly onto the makeshift mattress in the basement. Then, I tightly gripped his jaw, forcing him to look up and meet my gaze. Your parents have already sold you to me. They're afraid that having you at home will affect your family's stock market and their reputations. They're in a hurry to make me take the blame. And your favorite Winnie. She thinks you're dirty and doesn't want you either. Do I need to remind you why? Do I? With one hand, I turned on the projector, and with the other, I pressed his head down firmly, forcing him to look at the wide screen. A video shot from a hidden phone camera suddenly appeared before Charles James's eyes, that familiar, chilling alleyway that held countless nightmares for him, and the silhouette of his naive, solitary courage as he charged in. As the camera drew closer, those shadowy figures, with their spine-chilling laughter, emerged, gradually encircling and closing in on the helpless lamb with nowhere to hide. Ah, ah, Charles James screamed shrilly, the broken voice intertwining with the wails in the video, weaving together into a magnificent dirge. I did it for the appreciation, playing it on loop, over and over again. Finally, as the sweat on Charles James's forehead soaked my fingers, I let go of him. He was dehydrated, broken, his entire body pale and wrinkled beyond recognition, covered in stains and filth. I nudged the only clean spot on his shirt with the tip of my shoe. Go on, go tell your parents, let them come and see for themselves how I persecuted you, or how about I just post the video online, let everyone see it, pity you, and come judge for themselves. No, don't. Charles James was finally afraid. He was so terrified. He finally realized that I wasn't just venting my anger at him, nor was this a punishment born of a momentary loss of control. I was utterly and completely determined to make him wish for death but find it unattainable. I was wrong. I was wrong. He was at a loss, wanting to grab the hem of my pants but afraid I would find his hands dirty. Sobbing, he curled his hands in front of himself, pleading incessantly, I don't dare, I'll never dare again. Please don't broadcast it, don't show it to anyone, I'll be obedient, I'll listen to whatever you say from now on. Very good, I smiled, patting his sweaty face. Remember what you said, I'm someone who values family atmosphere very much. In a few days, your parents will come to see you. I hope they are sufficiently satisfied with and respectful of me as their daughter-in-law. You don't need me to teach you how to do that, do you? On the day the James family came to visit, Winnie also arrived. She held Mrs. James's arm and condescendingly instructed, Alice, Auntie asked me to accompany her. She said I know Brother Charles best. If there's anything you're not taking care of properly, I'll point it out on the spot, so you don't miss the point and upset Brother Charles. Mrs. James also took it for granted, saying, Alice, don't blame me, the men in our James family are hard to please. On your own, you won't be able to handle it. I smiled and stepped aside from the doorway, saying, how could he bear to let me serve him? He said that starting today, he wants to take good care of me. So they had just entered the door. They saw Charles James, who didn't even have a wheelchair to sit in, carefully carrying the dishes prepared by the housekeeper and placing them timidly on the dining table. In just a few days, he had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes. Upon seeing his parents and Winnie, there was no bright-eyed joy in his gaze, only a layer of complex gloom and caution. Dad, Mom, Winnie, please have a seat. There's just one more fish dish, and it'll be ready soon. Nonsense, Father James roared in disbelief. He reached out to support Charles James. How could you do these things? These are tasks for servants, for women. You came here to enjoy a life of comfort. Sit down right now. He turned and glared at me angrily. Alice, a woman's husband is her heaven. You've gone too far. No. Charles James was so frightened that he kept backing away. Ever since the incident, he had developed an extreme resistance to men. Trembling, he retreated, only to accidentally fall to the ground. Charles, Mrs. James cried out in anguish. It took a great deal of effort from both her and Winnie to help Charles James up. Looking quite disheveled, she glared at me furiously. Alice, we entrusted Charles to you. How could you mistreat him, my perfectly fine son? How dare you make him serve dishes? Do you know we've never once made him serve dishes at home? Brother Charles, did Alice force you to do this? Don't be afraid. Tell us, Uncle and Aunt will stand up for you. Winnie chimed in, adding her support. Then she looked at me with an air of command. Alice, what are you still sitting there for? Hurry up and come over. No need. Charles James reflexively pulled his hand back from her and Mrs. James's support. Sweat poured down his face, his eyes lowered. not daring to look at anyone. I'm willing to do this. It has nothing to do with Alice. I want to take care of her. Don't interfere, Brother Charles. Winnie was shocked, urgently grabbing Charles James's arm. You're a prodigy. Marrying Alice is already her good fortune. If I had known you'd be tormented by her like this. She choked back a sob, her eyes brimming with tears, looking utterly pitiful. Then I shouldn't have given you up to him back then. Charles James, after all, couldn't bear to part with Winnie, his eyes also reddening. Winnie, is that so? Then you can come and serve him. I spoke lightly. The other 4 people in the room all turned to look at me. Winnie was stunned. What did you say? I said leisurely. Winnie, since you love Charles so much, why not move in and take care of him? Carry his waste, bathe him, wash his feet. Love can overcome all difficulties. Don't just talk the talk without walking the walk. Winnie's expression suddenly turned panicked. What nonsense are you talking about? Winnie, Charles James grabbed her hand, looking at her with hope. Really, you can stay? Winnie abruptly shook him off as if shaking off a snake. No. Seeing Charles James's stunned and hurt expression, she began a sorrowful moral appeal. Charles, we can't do this. After all, you're already married. Being too intimate with me would be unfair to Alice. Do you really want me to be the other woman? She looked at me with a distant gaze. And Alice, you clearly know about my feelings for Charles. Having us spend every day together is just testing me. What are you afraid of? I interrupted her. With Charles in this state, what could possibly happen between you two spending all that time together? Even the most skilled housewife can't cook without rice, right? I don't have as many schemes as you do. I just want Charles to be happy. I tilted my head and looked at Charles James, whose face had turned pale from my humiliation. Charles, are you happy that Winnie is staying? Charles James felt a chill run down his spine under my gaze, making him even more eager to have Winnie accompany him. He grabbed Winnie's arm again, pleading, Winnie, please, just for my sake. Winnie hesitated, frantically thinking of a way to refuse. It's settled then, I declared, putting an end to the discussion. Winnie was completely frantic. What's decided? How is it decided? How dare you decide for me? I'm telling you, I don't agree. You want to dump the trouble on me. Winnie, Mother James grabbed her and pushed her toward the inner room. I know you have psychological burdens. It's okay, tell Auntie anything. Auntie understands you. Let's go inside and talk. Mother James pulled Winnie inside without giving her a chance to argue. With a bang sound, the door closed. In the living room, a deathly silence fell. Charles James looked dazed but still refused to give up, staring intently at the tightly shut door as if hoping to see through it. Father James coldly scrutinized me, his tone threatening. Alice, you're playing tricks in front of us adults. Do you not want the family's business to continue next quarter? The James family is our company's major client. In my previous life, out of consideration for our long-standing friendship, my family gave up the opportunity to collaborate with better investors and became deeply tied to the James family as a result. After I got married, I was repeatedly controlled by Mr. James, using orders as leverage, forcing me to endure humiliation in silence. But now, the excellence of the QA project has secured us many high-quality resources. Yesterday, my mother had already used her gatherings with wealthy ladies to build connections, and many big shots have signed letters of intent. We won't be at anyone's mercy anymore. So I casually shot back, business is business. If you don't want it, plenty of others will. Relying on seniority to act high and mighty is just plain wrong. I'd advise you not to meddle in things that don't concern you. Father James's face instantly darkened. His gaze toward me now held scrutiny and calculation. He should soon investigate the projects my family has been working on recently, perfectly in line with my intentions. I only fear he won't investigate. At that moment, Winnie finally followed Mrs. James out of the house. Mrs. James must have paid a hefty sum, as Winnie's understanding face could not conceal her greed. Alice, I promise you, starting tomorrow, I will come to accompany Brother Charles, who says I can't rest easy without him. With me here, you can forget about bullying him. I smiled and raised my glass. All right, here's to our exciting future lives. Cheers, everyone. As I had hoped, stepped into the roles I had meticulously planned. Your downfall is what makes my life so brilliant. That night, Charles James was very excited. He almost regained the courage to provoke me. Alice, I didn't expect you to be willing to support me and Winnie. Since your anger has subsided, I hope the three of us can get along peacefully in the days to come." I glanced at him without any emotion and projected the surveillance footage onto the big screen. "Peace or nuclear peace? It's up to you." On the screen was the scene of Winnie arguing with James's mother in the room. Inside, Winnie, who had always been the gentle campus Belle, was now hysterical and nitpicking over every detail. "Enough already, I went along with your little act, but you actually want me to go take care of that cripple. Do you have any idea how bad he smells? You want me to wipe his ass and change his diapers? Pfft, I'd rather die than do that. I was just too kind back then. I shouldn't have felt sorry for you rich people, offering a measly reward and thinking you could buy my dignity. If you want me to keep him company, fine. But it'll cost you this much. I'll make him happy, but don't you dare tell me what to do." Until Mother James compromised and took out her phone to transfer the money to her. Only then did she reveal a smile, greedy, disdainful, and malicious. It shattered the beautiful filter in Charles James's heart without a trace of pity. He could only stare at the screen with his mouth agape, helpless and panicked, feeling so sick that he retched violently. Yet nothing came out. Finally, a heart-wrenching cry tore from the depths of his throat, boundless sorrow, mingled with intense hatred. He wailed like a beggar who had been robbed, or a fool who had just realized he was a fool. In any case, I had no interest in listening further and simply closed the door. I went back to my room, took a shower, and slept soundly. I'm really looking forward to Winnie's arrival tomorrow. Winnie has arrived. She's wearing that shirt dress she often wore in college, sitting calmly beside Charles James, maintaining just the right distance, her expression gentle yet tinged with cautious probing. "Brother Charles, sitting side by side like this, doesn't it remind you of our university days in class? Do you remember back then, you promised me that you'd let me live a carefree and happy life, that you'd handle everything for me?" It was almost a direct hint to Charles James that she didn't want to be his caregiver. Unfortunately, Charles James is no longer the Charles James he used to be. A love-struck mind that has regained clarity is even more terrifying than one that remains clouded. When she mentioned their school days, a faint glimmer flickered in Charles James's eyes, only to be quickly swallowed by a strange, dark abyss. Ignoring Winnie's hints, he replied coldly, "I'm all smelly, I need to wash up." Winnie was taken aback for a moment, then naturally instructed me, who was standing nearby, "You're his wife, you should go with him. It's not appropriate for me." But Charles James suddenly grabbed her. "I want you to wash me." Winnie was terrified and pushed him away forcefully. "Brother Charles," but she was tightly gripped by Charles James. "Or do you think I'm dirty, afraid of sullying your noble hands? You wretch, what are you pretending for?" His face flushed red with anger, twisted and ferocious. With all his might, he made it impossible for Winnie to break free. "Didn't you take the money, huh? My mother gave you so much money. That means you're sold to me. Think I'm dirty? How clean are you? If you don't serve me, who will? The money my family gave you is enough to buy your life." A fierceness she had never seen before made Winnie's heart race with fear. She screamed as she struggled to break free. "Let go, let me go." Charles James paid no heed. He was utterly desperate, driven to madness. He grabbed the scalding tea that the housekeeper had just poured and, without warning, splashed it toward Winnie's face. "You deceived me, with that innocent, pure face of yours. You deceived me." Winnie screamed and collapsed to the floor. She kept crying out in pain, the skin exposed between her fingers covered in huge blisters. Charles James still wasn't satisfied. "He probably learned from me," grabbing Winnie by the hair and dragging her toward the bathroom. "Will you wash it for me or not? Huh? If you don't, I'll kill you." Winnie was terrified. The pain on her head and face made her weak, and she could only sob and plead incessantly, "I'll wash it. Please don't pull me. I'll wash it." Woo woo woo. In the end, trembling all over, she barely managed to kneel beside Charles James's legs. She looked at Charles James's full colostomy bag, her face filled with disgust and struggle, but there was no other way. Under Charles James's death glare, she trembled as she tried to open it, yet she ended up hurting him. Charles James said coldly, "Useless." Without another moment's hesitation, he placed his hand on Winnie's head and forcefully pushed it down. The scene was utterly devastating. It was like molten iron mixed with gold. The moment Winnie's face lifted with a scream, It was already beyond recognition. She couldn't believe it as she touched her own face. From breakdown to eruption, I completely let go. She lunged at Charles James, grappling with him. Fuck you, you damn cripple. You're living such a miserable life yourself, and you won't let me have it good. You pay for my face. If it can't be cured, I'll make you pay with your life. Throughout, I watched the dogs fight each other with cold indifference. When they were completely exhausted, I called the James family. Finally, the disheveled Winnie was dragged away by James's mother with security guards. James's mother even raised her precious hand and slapped Winnie wildly. Bitch, bitch, how could you bear to hit my son so hard? Try mentioning calling the police again. Believe it or not, I'll make you disappear right now. She glanced at me a couple more times, probably wanting to slap me too, but her son has too many weaknesses in my hands. So how could I let her lay a hand on me? Charles James didn't dare to leave with her either. Helplessly, Mother James could only leave unwillingly. As she left, Winnie was still shouting about suing the James family. Unfortunately, she had already fallen into the hands of the James family, and it seemed she would never have that chance. From that day on, I threw Charles James back into the basement. Our fate has come to an end. Starting today, you will live here. I will not disturb you, nor will I come to see you. At first, he felt a sense of relief, even a satisfaction at not having to see me, but within a few days, he began to panic, because truly no one came. The entire basement was terrifyingly quiet, with sealed walls that had not a single window, making it impossible to even sense the passage of time. The only proof that he still had any connection to the outside world was the 2 meals delivered by the small elevator. People cannot remain alone forever, especially without a phone or any form of entertainment, every minute and every second. The extreme loneliness clung to him like a bone-deep parasite, continuously corroding his sanity and resolve. He began talking to himself, then shouting, constantly banging on the walls and slamming against the door, all in the hope of attracting even the slightest, most insignificant bit of attention, but there was none. Everywhere was silent, with no one responding to his breakdown. A massive panic engulfed him, even overshadowing his fear of me. Almost instinctively, he began shouting my name repeatedly. Alice, 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 are you there? Answer me, Alice, I'm suffering, let me out quickly. Can you hear me? I'll die if I don't get out. In his desperation for a response, he resorted to lies to paint a rosy picture. I am your husband, you can't treat me like this. I don't actually dislike you. I stopped disliking you long ago. I will try to love you, and we can live a good life together. Alice, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Save me, Alice, Alice, Alice. I couldn't hear his heart-wrenching confession. Of course, during these days, I was busy building a career with Bruce. Even though I already knew he was exceptional, witnessing his strategic business planning and ingenious technological ideas firsthand in this lifetime still pleasantly surprised me. Based on my own experience, I also summarized several concepts that could be improved and innovated. As we refined them, we got along quite harmoniously. The day the primary model passed the test smoothly, Bruce's eyes were red and moist with excitement. He blinked back tears, looking too embarrassed to cry, which made his entire face appear especially fair, delicate, and handsome. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I still found him, as a college student, somewhat adorable. Unable to resist teasing him, I said, "Why are you crying now, God of wealth? When you become a billionaire in the future, won't you flood the company with your tears?" He looked up at me, his gaze unusually firm and sincere. I don't need to become a billionaire. I just want to keep working here, with you and our team. Billions, trillions, I'll give them all to you. I knew his feelings toward me were gratitude and appreciation based on our collaboration, but those eyes that seemed to hold deep affection for everyone still made one's heart burn with warmth. I suddenly felt a bit of an itch in my heart. These 2 lifetimes have been tough for me, and I haven't truly experienced a joyful romance in the prime of my youth, so I blurted out, "Bruce, I'm a little drawn to you because of your looks. I heard you don't have a girlfriend. Would you mind if I pursued you? I have quite a few tricks up my sleeve." Bruce was stunned, his ears visibly turned red. "No, it's not necessary." He lowered his head, his voice growing softer. "I was a bit disappointed to be rejected. In novels, heroines who get a second chance at life always get a handsome new love interest, right? Reality sure is harsh. No need for so many tricks." Bruce suddenly Said again, he nervously clenched his hands, then scratched his head. I'm actually quite easy to chase. Just be sincere. I was delighted. This was promising. I am very sincere, I said seriously, tentatively reaching out to hold his hand. But I still have some matters to tidy up. Wait for me, okay? The matters I need to handle are, of course, the James family. By the time I returned, Charles James had already been locked up for over half a month. He was emaciated, lying on the floor of the basement like a pile of mud. The moment I opened the door, that pile of mud seemed to glow with a last flicker of vitality, eagerly crawling toward me. Alice, I've been good, I've really been good. Please don't leave me. I dragged him into the bathroom and gave him a thorough wash. Then I changed the bedding, wrapped him in a warm blanket, and put on a restrained yet pained expression. Didn't you hate me? Why were you hoping I'd come back? He trembled violently. He cautiously drew closer to me. In the past, I was too cold. I didn't know any better. From now on, I won't be like that anymore. Please don't leave me alone, Alice. This house feels lifeless. I can't tell day from night, and I'm so scared being alone. Will you stay with me? If this goes on, I'll go crazy. I knew he wasn't lying. In my previous life, I was also locked up by him like this. The endless stretch of time was like the polar day in Iceland, full of light, yet unbearably torturous, longing for a moment of darkness. Even if the darkness would devour a person, one couldn't help but become infatuated with the change. That's exactly how I was in my past life. Suffering from severe Stockholm syndrome, I became infatuated with Charles James, the perpetrator, and it wasn't until death that I was finally set free. Now that the roles are reversed, no one understands better than I do how to make him fall ill. It's too late. When I liked you, you poured all your attention onto someone else, completely ignoring my kindness. Now you say you've changed. How am I supposed to believe you? Charles James, you can't have it both ways. He couldn't argue back and started sobbing uncontrollably at my words. You look so broken, so in need of someone to compromise and comfort you. So I perfunctorily performed. All right, I get it. I'll come see you when I have time. So stop crying. In the days that followed, I still frequently disappeared. I just showed up in front of Charles James from time to time, at irregular intervals. Most of the time, it is extremely brief, yet my words gave Charles James a powerful psychological suggestion, and he began to be consumed by thoughts of me, repeatedly replaying my past secret crush on him and everything I had quietly done for him. He began to hallucinate, apologizing to the air, confessing his regrets, and slapping himself in the face. In the surveillance footage, one after another, scenes of his self-indulgent pursuit of a wife turned into a funeral pyre played out. The James parents came to see him a few times, but each time they were frightened by his deranged state, and the way they looked at me was as if I were a human trafficker. Mr. James's expression grew darker with each visit. I knew he was waiting for an opportunity to punish me. That opportunity arrived unexpectedly, as Bruce began attending various exchange events and international award ceremonies with the QA system. In my previous life, the James family monopolized everything, never giving Bruce any chance to shine, only spending money on domestic marketing. In this life, I am building Bruce's personal brand. His success only fueled Mr. James's determination to win him over at all costs. A few days later, Bruce told me that the James family had offered him a substantial commission to poach him. At first, I was really tempted by that money, but the old man just looked like he deserved a beating, rather than staring at an old face every day while holding a fortune. It's better to stay here with no worries about food and drink, and even get chased by a beauty like Miss N. Bruce spoke with a serious tone, but in truth, he was secretly pleased and fishing for praise. Ever since I started chasing him for a while, he's begun to get cheeky. I rewarded him by scratching his chin. What a femme fatale. Handsome, you're so in demand. Have you ever considered being a corporate spy? Bruce widened his eyes, gleaming with curiosity and eagerness. Teach me. One rejection didn't make Mr. James give up. He came to find Bruce a few more times, following my instructions. Bruce engaged in some back and forth. Mr. James, Alice has already reached an agreement with suppliers to purchase all scarce consumables and raw materials at the lowest price. The savings from this alone amount to 9 figures, not to mention the free promotion from major international companies. I'm afraid it's not something a medium-sized enterprise like yours can match. He then softened his stance. However, Your sincerity truly moves me. At this price, it would be too impolite of me to remain indifferent. In that case, if you can keep the startup costs under 300 million, I can agree to your request. I'll handle the connections with those companies. Bruce's greatest strength is having a face that radiates sincerity, even when lying. He appears incredibly genuine. Father James is an arrogant capitalist who loves to exploit the flattery and inexperience of the younger generation. Just as he looked down on me in my previous life, he underestimated me. Again in this one, falsifying accounts couldn't stump him. As for the costs, if the land route was blocked, he'd take the water route, just like in his previous life when he resorted to smuggling to expedite the company's listing. And so, under the watchful eye of Father James, Bruce and I put on a series of dramatic showdowns. He would subtly mock me on social media as a skin-flaying boss, while I hinted that he was repaying kindness with ingratitude. Those corporate tycoons who had invested in us also took sides, aligning themselves with Bruce. In the eyes of Father James, I have been abandoned by both Bruce and the capital, left in a pitiful state. In the eyes of the capital, Father James is nothing more than a free appetizer used for hype. Once he overestimates himself and takes the bait, we can use his failure to build momentum for the project. As for Charles James, I played my part to the fullest. I left him hanging for an entire month, until he waited for me in the basement until he was utterly despondent and attempted suicide by cutting his wrist. I finally returned. The first thing he did upon waking up in the hospital was to cling to me and ask for a hug. Of course, I wouldn't let him have his way. I pushed him away and said, "Your family has already done this to me. What are you doing here?" Pretending to be sympathetic. "Why don't you just go back home and be the young master you were meant to be?" Divorce. Charles James was instantly stunned. He started crying in a panic. Even more furious than I was. "How could they? What did they do to you? Tell me. I'll go talk to them. I'm their only son. They'll listen to me." He frantically tried to clear himself. "Alice, you can't take your anger out on me. I don't know anything at all. Don't know. Go ask your dear father." I continued to gaslight him. "He really dotes on you, doesn't he? For your sake." He didn't hesitate to undermine his own daughter-in-law. "Now look, my project is halted, and I'm about to go bankrupt." I viciously grabbed him by the neck. "I'm just curious, how did he manage to raise so much money? If that's not playing dirty, what is? Your family is shady, and you're nothing but a jinx." After saying that, I ignored his pleas and had the bodyguards throw him back to the James family. When he was desperately clinging to the car door, begging me to give him a chance to persuade his parents, I delivered the final blow. "Stop pretending to be so devoted here. I will never rest until I settle things with your family. Would you really abandon your parents and choose me?" "I don't believe it." Because of these words, Charles James fell silent. Then, his gaze became more fervent than ever before. "No, Alice, I would choose you. Only you can give me the sense of security I desire. My greatest wish in this lifetime is to stay by your side forever. I'll take care of everything for you. Just wait for me." I scoffed, turning to leave, but a smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. "That's good." All my careful hints weren't in vain. Not long after Charles James returned home, I publicly announced the suspension of the project in front of my mother. Mrs. James clearly became more arrogant. "Mrs. and cherish the days when you can still have afternoon tea with your sisters. It will be hard to gather like this in the future. Who told your daughter to be so troublesome? The family savings have all been squandered, haven't they? Heaven is watching, and people are watching 2. The harm Alice has done to my son will be repaid to her step by step." On the day of the knockoff AQ project launch event, the James family sent me an invitation that read, "We sincerely invite Ms. Alice to witness the collapse of her own beautiful life." I went. I also submitted the evidence of the James family's collusion with some board members in falsifying accounts, as well as the recordings of their overseas smuggling dealings, which Charles James had sent me during this period. To the customs and tax authorities, I consulted the most authoritative psychologist. Stockholm Syndrome is just like that, the hardest to break in the early stages of leaving. The more you try to quit, the crazier it gets. When Charles James sent me the evidence, his voice was filled with madness. "Alice, they're finished. They're going to be finished. Are you happy? Ha ha ha. My dad is so easy to fool. He actually still thinks that after all this, I can still be his promising, good son. He's dreaming." He tore us apart, so I'll show him how rotten I can be. No one gets to be happy. At the press conference, Mr. James stood under the spotlight in a well-tailored suit, passionately outlining his business blueprint. Charles James sat below, his face pale, yet he was strangely spirited, his eyes gleaming with excitement and a hint of destruction. Finally, Mr. James and Mrs. James took the stage together. They raised their glasses and drank heartily. The doors of the press conference were suddenly flung open from the outside, customs officers and tax inspectors in uniform filed in one after another. Amidst a wave of gasps, camera flashes erupted from below the stage. The faces of the James parents, beaming with smug satisfaction, suddenly stiffened and turned ashen upon seeing the enforcement notice, like two dried up, faded wax figures. Misunderstanding. This must all be a misunderstanding. Comrades, please have a seat. Let's talk this out properly. Talk it out properly. Before being arrested, Father James tried to deny everything. What is this? How did you get this? No, 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 AI synthesis. It must be AI synthesis. After seeing the evidence presented by customs and tax officials, he desperately denied everything. Who on earth betrayed me? Just wait until I find out who it was. Unable to deny it any longer, he began to lose control, making a scene and issuing threats. James's mother cried until her hair came undone. She tightly hugged the expressionless Charles James. My son, our family's company is about to collapse. What should we do? What will happen to us, mother and son? How will we survive? Charles James's voice drifted down lightly from above her head. I can survive. Alice will take care of me. As for you, well, it's hard to say. Mother James suddenly widened her eyes, looking at Charles James as if he were a stranger. Charles, what nonsense are you talking about? Charles James laughed, a chilling sound. He, that's great, you're finished. I can finally be with Alice. Serves you right. Who told you to mess with my wife? Do you have any idea how much I love her? You messed with her. You deserve to die. Deserve to die. It's you. Father James clutched his chest, his hand trembling as he pointed at Charles James. Mother James was even more distraught. She covered her head, crouched on the ground, and wailed incessantly. Disaster. What a disaster. A disgrace to the family. With Charles James's testimony, James's father was quickly convicted. However, before he could be sent to prison, he suffered a heart attack and was admitted to the ICU. After the assets were frozen, James's mother, unable to bear the massive debt, directly gave up on treatment. James's father lingered at home for 3 days before finally breathing his last. Meanwhile, the deranged Charles James paid no mind to his mother, who had cried herself blind. Instead, he ran to my place to find me. He kept pounding on my door. Alice, Alice, I'm back. I kept my promise. My dad is dead, and my mom has gone mad. They've suffered so much. Can I come home now? But I'm not there anymore. I've moved with Bruce. We bought a big villa, starting as roommates and getting a bit flirty. So the thing you said you needed to take care of was this. After learning about my past with Charles James, Bruce fell into deep thought. I was a bit reluctant. You're not going to tell me you mind being a second marriage, are you? I don't chase after the double purity crowd. He looked at me speechlessly. Can't I just despise my unworthy ex-rival? The next day, Bruce went to my old place to confront Charles James and personally handed him a lawsuit. It was a divorce lawsuit I had filed against Charles James, citing his physiological dysfunction, psychological illness, and insanity as reasons that affected our normal marital life. To kill a person is to destroy their spirit. However, Charles James didn't wait for the trial. He was kidnapped. A week later, he was found in a dirty alley of an urban village. He was dead, and it was a gruesome death. The perpetrator was a few local, desperate small-time thugs. In the existing police surveillance footage, it can be seen that a woman wearing a mask and a hat lured Charles James into the urban village. Looking at her height and build, the image of Winnie's disfigured face flashed through my mind almost instantly. She's really lucky to be alive. I immediately provided this clue to the police. On the day Winnie was arrested, the AQ project went public thanks to the James family's clown-like performance. Both within and outside the industry, there was immense interest in the AQ intelligent care system. starting with celebrities. Almost every household equipped their vulnerable members with one. Gradually, it spread to ordinary consumers. The sales trajectory is even more impressive than in my previous life. Every day I wake up, I'm dazzled by the deposits in my bank account. Oh, and there's something even more dazzling. It's Bruce sleeping beside me, a sight of boundless spring beauty. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. When the overpass collapsed, I used my body to shield my boyfriend, and from then on, I lost both my legs. After that, he married me, but he never touched me. Every time he looked at me, his eyes were filled with disgust. Less than a year into our marriage, I died unexpectedly because he had secretly been adding the anesthetic ketamine to the coffee I drank every day. Only after death did I realize that he and my best friend had long been secretly involved. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the overpass collapsed. On that day, I made plans with my best friend, and then got out of the car before the overpass collapsed. From afar, I spotted my best friend Piper Lynn waiting by the roadside. My boyfriend Tom Wong and I had agreed to visit Happy Valley in the neighboring city today. However, I discussed with him and suggested inviting Piper Lynn along. He casually replied, "Sure." The corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, his joy evident for all to see. Piper Lynn was dressed beautifully today, like a delicate peony. When Tom Wong saw her, his eyes were filled with delight. I was very familiar with that look. It was the same one he used to give me when he still loved me. Without showing any emotion, I voluntarily gave up the front passenger seat. Piper Lynn, however, felt too embarrassed to accept. I brought out the line I had prepared earlier. "I still have work to handle, so it would be more convenient for me to sit in the back." In the end, Piper Lynn accepted my suggestion with a clear conscience. After settling into the back seat, I pretended to be busy with work. As we approached the overpass, I feigned urgency and said to Tom Wong and Piper Lynn, "Tom, Piper, I'm sorry, but my boss suddenly has an urgent matter for me. I won't be able to go with you. Please go ahead without me." Tom Wong and Piper Lynn spoke words of regret, but their eyes held a hidden delight. Tom Wong finally brought the car to a stop. After getting out of the car, I felt as if a great weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Watching their car speed away, a slow smile crept across the corner of my mouth. In my previous life, Tom Wong and I were on our way to Happy Valley when we suddenly encountered a collapsed overpass. When the steel and concrete came crashing down, I didn't hesitate for a moment to shield Tom Wong with my own body. The heavy steel and concrete struck my legs. Afterward, both of my legs had to be amputated. I looked at the small remaining part of my leg and burst into tears. At that moment, I was filled with immense regret. I am an architect. After all, I can no longer pursue my dream. I regret it so much that my intestines are turning green. But Tom Wong knelt before me and solemnly promised, "Rachel, let's get married. I will take care of you for the rest of your life." I had no other choice. However, after marriage, Tom Wong never once touched me. Every time he looks at me, his eyes are filled with disdain. His mother is even more hostile toward me, saying, "I'm so unlucky to have a daughter-in-law like you." His father, on the other hand, is busy looking for a new daughter-in-law. Once, I overheard his mother telling his father, "In 2 years, we'll make them divorce." But I died within a year, because Tom Wong had been secretly adding the anesthetic ketamine to the coffee I drank every day, starting from the very first day of our marriage. Thanks to him, I often felt nauseous, vomited, and had heart pain. I thought I had an incurable disease, but the hospital couldn't find anything wrong. It wasn't until after my death, when my soul lingered and refused to reincarnate, that I saw Tom Wong and Piper Lynn engaged in a fierce battle of 300 rounds at Piper Lynn's house. After it was over, Tom Wong was extremely content. "Rachel is finally dead. Piper, we can get married now." Piper Lynn nestled happily in his arms. "Ketamine really is a good thing. She died just like that, and no one will ever trace it back to you." At this point, the despicable couple burst into laughter together, celebrating my death, celebrating their bright future. But in this life, their future will not be so bright. Half an hour later, news of the collapse of the XXX overpass quickly went viral across the entire internet. Tom Wong, just like me in my previous life, used his body to shield Piper Lynn when the steel and concrete came crashing down. He was paralyzed from the waist down. He will have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. When I arrived at the hospital, I heard Tom Wong's mother scolding him with great emotion. "Why are you so foolish? Have you considered how we feel? How are we supposed to live?" As she spoke, she burst into loud sobs. The mournful cries, permeating the lifeless hospital, seemed especially tragic. It was just like me in my past life, when I learned my legs had been amputated, crying so hard I could barely catch my breath. "Mom, I love Piper. I volunteered to save her." Tom Wong comforted his mother. Mrs. Wong suddenly stopped crying upon hearing this. Father Wong was utterly shocked. "What? The two of you actually had an affair? It was a long time ago, and Rachel still doesn't know." Hearing this, I quickly clapped my hands and walked in with light steps. "Tom Wong, I've decided to let you and Piper Lin be together." All three of them were both shocked and ashamed by my sudden appearance. I watched Tom Wong with schadenfreude. "May you grow old together." After saying that, I turned and walked away. Tom Wong called out to me from behind, "Rachel, you must be feeling quite relieved now, right?" I stopped in my tracks. Slowly, I turned back, looking at his complicated expression. "No one likes the feeling of being betrayed." Tom Wong smiled bitterly. "But you also turned misfortune into a blessing." I looked at him with disdain. "Don't try to whitewash yourself. Cheating is cheating, and being scum is being scum." Tom Wong looked embarrassed and silently lowered his eyelids. At the door of the hospital room, I suddenly bumped into Piper Lin, who was coming toward me. One of her hands was wrapped in a sling. I gave her a friendly smile and said, "Piper, you must take good care of Tom for me. I wish you a long and happy life together, and may you have children soon." Piper Lin looked troubled, showing no sign of joy at the blessing. I smiled without saying a word and walked away. I had only taken a few steps when I heard Wang's mother shouting at Piper Lin from inside the hospital room, "My son became disabled because of you. You must marry my son, or I'll never let this go." Wang's father also said, "This is what you owe my son. You'll spend the rest of your life slowly paying it back." I smiled smugly. "Piper Lin, your good days are yet to come." Wang's father and mother are both harsh and ungrateful people. In my previous life, I saved their son, yet they repaid kindness with enmity. I dare not imagine what kind of chaos and turmoil Piper Lin's life would be like after marrying into their family, but I am very much looking forward to it. 2 months later, Tom Wong and Piper Lin held their wedding. I was invited to attend their wedding. Although it was supposed to be a joyous occasion, Tom Wong and Piper Lin's expressions showed no trace of happiness. Piper Lin looked even more miserable. It was said that Piper Lin didn't want to hold this wedding at all, but Wang's parents insisted on it. "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and go greet the guests." Piper Lin had just sat down and taken a few sips of water when Wang's mother began to lecture her. She wasn't the least bit afraid of Mrs. Wang, glaring fiercely at her. "I know, you don't have to keep reminding me. How dare you talk back?" Mrs. Wang angrily pointed at her nose and scolded, "Don't think that just because your son saved me, you can order me around. Believe it or not, I can leave your son anytime I want." Mrs. Wang was so furious she could almost see smoke coming out of her ears, but she had no choice but to hold it in. After all, today is her son's big day. I hid to the side, watching their little drama unfold, feeling utterly delighted. In my past life, I suffered no shortage of grievances from the Queen Mother. She was always quick to say that I wasn't good enough for her precious son. She often bluntly says that I hold her son back and delay his progress. Evil people are best dealt with by other evil people. In this lifetime, having to deal with Piper Lin, a thorny rose, and still wanting to put on the airs of a mother-in-law. What a dream. In the middle of it, I ran to the restroom to use the toilet, but unexpectedly, I bumped into a man and a woman sweetly embracing each other in the corridor next to the restroom. I was dumbfounded. The woman is Piper Lin. The man turned out to be Tom Wong's best brother. Sam, I want a divorce." "Wait a little longer. It's not possible right now." "Sam, I love you. Isn't this just as good for us?" Sam said, then kissed Piper Lin on the lips. While they were passionately kissing, I quietly took out my phone and captured this spectacular scene. "Tom Wong, oh Tom Wong, this is the woman you were willing to risk your life to save. I hope that one day, when you truly understand her nature, you can still remain consistent." After Tom Wong became paralyzed, he was dismissed by the company. Piper Lin had to be the one earning money to support the Family, this gave Piper Lynn a reason to frequently return home late. I work at the same company as Piper Lynn. Once, as I passed by her office, I overheard her on a phone call. Her tone was extremely impatient. Didn't I already tell you? I have to work overtime tonight. Tom Wong, you can't even stand up now. From now on, this family will have to rely on me to support it. After saying that, she angrily hung up the phone. I couldn't help but laugh. The company hasn't been busy lately, so no one needs to work overtime. The overtime Piper Lynn mentioned was just an excuse to have a secret rendezvous with Sam. I've seen several times that Sam came to pick up Piper Lynn after work. If nothing unexpected happens tonight, Sam will still come to pick up Piper Lynn, just as I expected. After almost all the colleagues in the company had left, Piper Lynn quietly left the office. Sam leaned against the car and blew a loud whistle toward her. Piper Lynn walked over and kissed Sam. At that moment, I was in the coffee shop on the first floor across from the company, quietly taking out my phone and capturing this wonderful moment. After they drove away, I anonymously sent the photo to Wang Mu. Along with this photo, I also sent the one I secretly took on the day of Tom Wong and Piper Lynn's wedding, which showed Piper Lynn kissing Sam. That evening, I saw on the monitor the thrilling scene of Wang's mother grabbing Piper Lynn by the hair and physically abusing her. The surveillance camera was secretly installed in their home when I attended their wedding last time, not even a month into the marriage. And you're already cheating, you damn bitch. Wang's father directly brought over a basin of hot water and splashed it on Piper Lynn. Piper Lynn cried out in pain. She screamed hysterically, "Divorce, Tom Wong, I want a divorce from you." Tom Wong was heartbroken, yet furious. "Piper Lynn, I became like this to save you, so what?" Piper Lynn retorted righteously, "I never asked you to save me. I'm not even 30 yet, and I don't want to be dragged down by a cripple like you." Slap. Mother Wong slapped Piper Lynn across the face, sending her tumbling to the ground. Mother Wong pointed a finger at her, her voice sharp and severe. "Piper Lynn, it's you who owes my son, not my son who owes you." The next day, Wong's parents actually came to the company to make a scene. "Everyone, come and judge for yourselves. My son became paralyzed because he saved Piper Lynn. They had been married for less than a month when she started fooling around behind his back with his good friend, and she actually has the nerve to say my son is holding her back." In front of everyone, Mother Wong emotionally criticized Piper Lynn. As the saying goes, family scandals should not be aired in public. It was clear that Father and Mother Wong were so enraged that they lost their minds, coming to the company to make a scene without regard for their dignity. Piper Lynn felt both ashamed and furious, barely holding back her anger. "Dad, Mom, this is the company. Right now, I'm the one supporting the entire family. Do you want me to lose my job?" Wang's father glared at her. "You dare to do such shameful things, yet you're afraid of us talking about it." "What did I do?" Piper Lynn argued unreasonably. "I never loved Tom Wong. He was the one who kept pestering me all along. He volunteered to save me. I didn't force him." Wang's mother pulled me out from the crowd. "Rachel, you tell us, was it this vixen who stole your boyfriend?" I put on a troubled expression and said to Wang's mother, "Auntie, what's in the past is in the past, regardless of right or wrong. We've all paid the price we deserved. I've seen some people and things for what they are, and I've learned my lesson. I don't want to dwell on it anymore." The Queen Mother looked smug. "You all heard it. Rachel said she's seen through some people. Piper Lynn, don't you dare deny it." Piper Lynn was so ashamed she wished the ground would swallow her up. I advised Mr. and Mrs. Wong, "Uncle, Auntie, this is a company. Your behavior here will affect others. Could you please discuss this at home?" After much persuasion, I finally managed to see the two elders off. After seeing them off, I went straight to the conference room. "There is an important meeting today. Our company recently won a bid for a piece of land, which is intended for a public welfare institution. However, the specific type of public welfare institution has not yet been decided by the company." At the meeting, I strongly proposed, "I believe this piece of land can be used to establish a public welfare institution for people with disabilities." Upon hearing this, everyone showed expressions of surprise, because prior to this, no one had ever made such a proposal. I continued, "There are approximately 85 million people with disabilities in our country, which is a very large base. Many of them have no jobs or income, and few people pay attention to their struggles in this regard. This is a heavy burden for both the nation and countless families. If we can establish a public welfare organization for people with disabilities, we will alleviate the burden on the country and countless families. This is undoubtedly a great and meritorious deed. I think we can create a building for a charity sale by people with disabilities, allowing them to sell their own works here and earn some income through the sales, while helping people with disabilities, our companies. Reputation can also be established. White Elephant Instant Noodles is a great example. As the words fell, applause erupted from below the podium. He is the chairman. He looked at me with a smile. Good, that's a great suggestion. Let's do it. Upon hearing this, everyone else also started applauding, unanimously approved. I smiled like a flower and bowed deeply. Thank you, everyone. On my 29th birthday, I received congratulations from Tom Wong. Rachel, happy birthday. Would you honor me with dinner tonight? I smiled self-deprecatingly. People often only learn to cherish what they have when they lose it, but in the end, I still went to meet Tom Wong. He was already waiting in the restaurant. It had been a while since we last met, and he looked much more haggard. Despite being under 30, he now resembled a man in his 40s. There was not a single glimmer of light left in his eyes. The saying that one's appearance reflects their heart is absolutely true. Happy birthday. He handed me an exquisite gift box. I felt no ripple of emotion in my heart. Thank you, but given our current status, it's not appropriate. The anticipation in Tom Wong's eyes slowly faded. Will we never even be friends in this lifetime? At that moment, I truly looked down on him. He had cheated on me with my best friend even before we broke up. After being cheated on by my best friend, he realized I was still the best, so he shamelessly came back to fawn over me. People must take responsibility for their choices. Tom Wong, don't make me look down on you, I said, my voice turning colder. Tom Wong's face was full of bitterness. If only there were a pill for regret in this world. There is no if. Tom Wong's expression was desolate and bleak. After a pause, he changed the subject. I heard your company plans to establish a charity organization for the disabled, and it was your initiative. He seemed to be expecting something. I said expressionlessly, don't misunderstand. It's not for you. In my previous life, I was disabled for less than a year. During that short period of less than a year, I experienced the helplessness and bitterness of being disabled with profound intensity. At that time, I made a vow, if given the chance, I would definitely do something to benefit people with disabilities. Perhaps it was because of the power of my wishes that the heavens gave me a chance to be reborn. The anticipation in Tom Wong's eyes faded away bit by bit, like stars falling from the sky. After a long while, he cautiously asked, can I join? Suit yourself, I replied, still expressionless. I was appointed by the chairman to serve as the overall head of the public welfare organization for people with disabilities. I am on the construction site every day. I eat and sleep alongside the construction workers. I rarely return to the company, but even on the construction site, I heard that something had happened to the Wong family again. Piper Lin filed for divorce in court. Then she moved out of the Wong family in a fit of righteous indignation. However, Tom Wong's parents refused to let her go and insisted that she return the 200,000 yuan bride price from back then, but Piper Lin refused to return it, firmly believing it was compensation for the emotional distress she suffered from marrying into the Wong family. Then, Wong's parents came to the company to cause a scene. After that, the company fired Piper Lin. Once Piper Lin was fired, it became even more impossible for her to repay the betrothal gifts. The two families began a protracted war over this matter. To spite Piper Lin, Wong's mother went to Piper Lin's home and hurled insults at her family. The Lin family, feeling utterly humiliated, had no choice but to move away. Wong's father found out the location of their new home and then brought a group of relatives and friends to the Lin family's house to seize their belongings. They emptied the entire Lin family's house. He tried in this way to get back the 200,000 yuan bride price he had given to the Lin family back then. In a fit of anger, the Lin family took the Wong family to court. Mr. and Mrs. Wong suddenly faced two additional charges, trespassing and theft, currently under criminal detention. Tom Wong called me for help. Rachel, can you save my parents? How can I save them? I asked him with unruffled calm. Don't you know some lawyer friends? Can you help me get them bailed out? Tom Wong pleaded with me humbly. Suddenly, I remembered my past self, who had once pleaded with him just as humbly. After we got married, He never touched me. I once begged him, but he pushed me away. With too much force, I was thrown to the ground. My severed legs hit the corner of the bed, and the pain brought tears to my eyes. He looked at me with disgust and said, "Rachel, I've already done my utmost by marrying you. Don't push your luck." To this day, the pain and humiliation from back then remain deeply etched in my memory, as vivid as ever. "Sorry, I don't have time." After saying that, I hung up the phone without hesitation. Later, Wang's father and mother were still bailed out. It is said that in order to bail them out, Tom Wang had to humble himself and beg all his relatives and friends, but no one was willing to help him. He had no choice but to turn to his former good friend, Sam, a young lawyer who was somewhat well known in the legal community. He threatened Sam with evidence of his affair with Piper Lynn to have his parents bailed out. Under the threat, Sam bailed out the elderly couple, but when they came out of the detention center, Piper Lynn ostentatiously linked arms with Sam, humiliating them to the fullest. Madame Wang was so enraged that she fainted on the spot. After being taken to the hospital, the doctor informed her that she had brain cancer and didn't have much time left. Originally, she was already on the brink of death, but Piper Lynn, who harbored deep hatred for her, went to the hospital to humiliate her, saying she deserved it and deserved to die. Then, she passed away. Ever since Tom Wang became paralyzed, I knew that what awaited him would be a difficult life, but I never imagined that his life would be even more difficult than I had thought. Piper Lynn and Sam's affair, as well as Piper Lynn's deep-seated hatred for Wang Mu, were all beyond my expectations, but what I never expected was that there would be even more surprises. After Wang Mu's funeral, Tom Wang came to the construction site to find me. I thought he would be depressed and despondent, but he was surprisingly calm, and there was a determination and decisiveness in his eyes that I hadn't seen since he became paralyzed. I am very familiar with this kind of look. It is the same look I saw in the mirror after I discovered I had been reborn. A thought flashed through my mind. I was frightened. Tom Wang observed my expression and smiled with interest. "Rachel, are you very surprised by my rebirth?" My heart was so excited it almost leaped out of my chest. As expected, he truly had been reborn. He lowered his head to look at his immobile legs, his eyes filled with melancholy. "This is what I owe you." Old eyes have their day. Tom Wang, you've finally met your match. In the past life and what came after. Rachel, listen as I tell you slowly. Tom Wang began to recount to me. "After you died," I interrupted him. "After you poisoned me, please correct that." He pursed his lips, pouted, and corrected himself. "After I poisoned you to death and married Piper Lynn, I thought my future would be bright from then on. But half a year later, I suddenly caught Piper Lynn and Sam in an affair. I beat Piper Lynn severely, and she had a miscarriage. I don't even know whose child it was." He smiled self-deprecatingly, his eyes filled with bitterness and regret. "Serves you right." At this moment, I felt quite pleased. Tom Wang smiled bitterly. After that, she admitted her mistake to me and promised she would never have anything to do with Sam again. I actually believed her and forgave her. "You fool," I scolded him without mercy. Tom Wang's later outcome was not hard to guess. Yes, I truly was a complete fool, Tom Wang said with a sorrowful expression. After that, she invited me to ride the cable car and then pushed me off. A cloud of turbid energy was expelled from my chest, and I felt much lighter. "Rachel, are you satisfied now?" He looked at me. I sneered and retorted, "What do you think? Satisfied? That's impossible, because the one who took action wasn't me." Tom Wang's expression darkened. "You still can't let it go." My voice was as cold as frost. "Tom Wang, what you owe me and what Piper Lynn owes you are two completely different matters. I was also deceived by that bitch Piper Lynn." Looking at him playing the victim, I really wanted to vomit. "Enough, Tom Wang, don't shift all the blame onto women." Tom Wang, after being scolded by me like this, suddenly felt deeply ashamed and hung his head in dejection. "I'm very busy and don't have time to catch up with you." After saying these words coldly, I turned and went back to the construction site. The divorce proceedings between Tom Wang and Piper Lynn are still ongoing. After being reborn, Tom Wang quickly ended this marriage, and in a way that no one expected. He first participated in a very famous and highly popular speech program as a disabled person. He had been reborn, so becoming famous through the program was not difficult for him. After gaining a certain level of fame, Tom Wong publicly exposed the affair between Piper Lynn and Sam. He also bought trending topics and hired internet trolls. He launched a full-scale attack on the adulterous couple. For a time, the entire internet was outraged on behalf of the disabled Tom Wong, and he scolded Piper Lynn and Sam to a pulp. Piper Lynn was too scared to leave the house. Sam was also fired from the law firm. Tom Wong won the divorce case and made Piper Lynn leave with nothing. He gained his freedom just as the construction of the disability welfare building was nearly complete. I moved back from the construction site. When I got off work, I saw Tom Wong waiting at the company entrance. He smiled at me and said, "Rachel, would you like to have a meal together?" Since his paralysis, I have never seen such a happy, vibrant smile. Joy brings vigor to the spirit. I calmly said, "I'm sorry, I have plans with someone." At that moment, my colleague pulled up beside me. I gave him a sweet smile and then got into his car. From the rearview mirror, I could see Tom Wong staring at our car, his face bitter and his brows furrowed in distress. A colleague sighed, "Why are people so foolish? They only learn to cherish things after they've lost them." I said, "A good horse doesn't turn back to graze on old grass." After saying that, we exchanged a knowing smile. The Disability Public Welfare Organization was quickly established. It was named One Heart Public Welfare. The company invested a lot of money in promotion, and its reputation spread rapidly. Disabled people from all over the country came to visit. They proudly showcased their charity sale works. Tom Wong also came. His charity sale work was painting. He is a draftsman, quite talented in drawing, and his fame skyrocketed after participating in a speech program and being exposed for being cheated on by his wife and best friend. His work sold very successfully, fetching higher prices than those of other disabled individuals. After gaining fame, he began hosting his own solo art exhibitions. The venue was still at Heart Charity. Every time he holds an art exhibition, the turnout is always huge. It almost fills the entire gallery. Originally, I started Heart Charity to help more people with disabilities, but because of Tom Wong, Heart Charity gained even greater fame. Our company also became a direct beneficiary because of Heart Charity and because of Tom Wong. Since the establishment of Heart Charity, our company has been flooded with orders. I've been so busy that I'm practically living on the construction site every day. Of course, my income has also skyrocketed. Given how things have turned out, I really don't know if I helped Tom Wong or if Tom Wong helped me. Late at night, just as I was in a deep sleep, the doorbell suddenly rang. It rang continuously. Each ring was more urgent than the last. I was startled awake when I opened the door with bleary eyes and saw the person before me. The last traces of sleep instantly vanished. Standing before me was my former best friend, Piper Lynn. Her hair was disheveled. Her face was streaked with tears. "Rachel, Sam has committed suicide." I was greatly alarmed. After regaining my composure, I invited Piper Lynn into the house. Sitting on the sofa, she tearfully recounted the events to me. After Tom Wong exposed our affair, Sam was first caught in a storm of criticism, then lost his job. His parents also kicked him out of the house and even threatened to sever their relationship with him. He couldn't bear such a heavy blow and slit his wrists at home last night. I couldn't help but sigh with deep sympathy. At the same time, I also find it ridiculous. If you don't have strong resilience, why even engage in an extramarital affair? Doesn't he know that having an extramarital affair is like playing with fire? I hate Tom Wong. Piper Lynn gritted her teeth, her face filled with hatred. It seems she really loves Sam. I won't sympathize or pity her. I just said calmly, "If you hate him, go seek revenge. Why come to me?" Piper Lynn suddenly grabbed my hand excitedly. "Rachel, don't you hate him too? Let's team up and take him down, okay?" Looking at Piper Lynn's extremely serious face, ripples stirred in the lake of my heart. If Tom Wong hadn't been reborn, I would have had more than enough to take him down, but he has been reborn, and it won't be so easy to finish him off anymore. However, if Piper Lynn and I join forces, it would undoubtedly become much easier. Thinking of this, I smiled. It seems it still has to be girls help girls. Piper Lynn's tears turned to laughter. She opened her arms and hugged me excitedly. "Rachel, I'm sorry." I didn't respond. I didn't feel anything either. From beginning to end, I never hated Piper Lynn. The only one I hated was Tom Wong, but I will not accept her back either. To me now, she is just a business partner, nothing more. Piper Lynn and I are waiting for the opportunity to bring down Tom Wong. Soon, the opportunity arrived. Tom Wong was honored as the Person of the Year for his inspiring story. He was filled with pride and satisfaction on stage. With great anticipation, he described his future blueprint. I plan to establish a private art school specifically for disabled individuals like myself. I will teach everything I have learned after graduation, hoping to equip more disabled people like me with skills to establish themselves in society. How disgusting. Piper Lynn looked at Tom Wong on TV, her face full of disgust. I smiled faintly and said, "Don't you think this is a good thing?" Piper Lynn retorted, "Tom Wong has become the Person of the Year in terms of influence. How is that a good thing? Piper, you can expose his old scandals." I coaxed gently. "For example, how you and he started. After all, you're already at rock bottom, so what is there to fear?" Piper Lynn suddenly had a moment of enlightenment. She excitedly patted her thigh. "Right, how did I not think of that? You've finally come to your senses." The entire nation knows that Tom Wong saved Piper Lynn, only to be betrayed by her and his best friend in the end. But the entire nation doesn't know that Tom Wong himself was also unfaithful. If this matter were to come to light at this moment, it would undoubtedly be a devastating blow for Tom Wong. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. The applause and admiration he is receiving now will be matched by the criticism and slander he will face in the future. A few days later, Piper Lynn and I had everything prepared. Piper Lynn first posted her ambiguous chat records with Tom Wong on social media. She also posted a message. "It's truly laughable that someone who cheated can become the Person of the Year." After she posted on social media, I spent money to buy her a trending spot, quickly pushing the hashtag Tom Wong cheats to the top of the trending list. The entire internet exploded. "Damn, Tom Wong is disgusting. He even went after his girlfriend's best friend. You must be really desperate. His legs are paralyzed. It's what they call karma. Serves him right. Someone like him doesn't deserve to be the Person of the Year. I strongly suggest revoking his award." When Tom Wong had nowhere else to turn, he called me for help. "Rachel, please, help me," I retorted. "How can I help you?" "Help me clear things up." His tone was as humble as dust. "I'm begging you," I sneered coldly. "Tom Wong, I really look down on you." After saying that, I hung up the phone. At this point, he still refuses to take responsibility and face the situation, only wanting to escape and shift the blame. He's really not a man. I must have been blind back then to have taken a liking to such a thing. When I left the company after work, a large group of reporters swarmed around me. "Miss Rachel, is what Piper Lynn said true? Before the overpass collapsed, did you know about their affair, having your best friend steal your lover? Could you share how you feel about that?" I calmly cleared my throat. Regarding the matter between Tom Wong and Piper Lynn, I only overheard it at the hospital after Tom Wong became paralyzed. At that time, he asked me, "Rachel, aren't you relieved now?" Reporter, "What do you have to say?" I said. "No one likes the feeling of being betrayed, from being the highly acclaimed Person of the Year to now being labeled as a cheating scumbag. Tom Wong has truly experienced the taste of falling from heaven to hell. He has become a rat scurrying across the street, despised by everyone. He didn't dare to come to the charity sale either. All of his upcoming art exhibitions have been cancelled. He was brought back to his original state, but his troubles were not over yet." Piper Lynn continued to expose information online. Several surveillance videos of her being beaten and scolded by Wong's parents before her divorce, with Tom Wong standing by and watching coldly, were also leaked by her online. I gave them to her. I had secretly installed surveillance cameras in the Wong family's home. Wong's father suffered from online violence, unable to bear the blow. He suddenly suffered a myocardial infarction and passed away. When I saw Tom Wong again, his hair had turned completely white. At this time, he was only 30 years old. "Aren't you going to invite me in for a seat?" He stood at my doorstep, pleading with me. I invited him into the house. "Rachel, I know it was you who teamed up with Piper Lynn to ruin my reputation," he said, his eyes filled with deep pain. "You still won't forgive me." I stared at him coldly, remaining silent. I thought that in this life, God brought us both back to give us a chance to start over. I laughed out loud. The smile was filled with irony. "Tom Wong, do you think I love you very much?" He took it for granted. "Isn't that the case?" I shook my head firmly. "Losing my legs to save you was the most regrettable and foolish decision I ever made. This was a realization I had even before I married you." Tom Wong's eyes instantly darkened. the only reason I married you was because I wanted you to feel guilty, to suffer. I wanted you to spend the rest of your life living with that feeling." His face turned ashen, inch by inch. I leaned down, close to his ear, and whispered softly, "You didn't know, did you? The video of your parents abusing Piper Lynn, I was the one who gave it to her, because I secretly installed surveillance cameras on your wedding day. I'd been waiting for this day all along. This is what you owe me." Tom Wong slowly closed his eyes, 2 lines of clear tears slowly slid down, hanging on his pale cheeks, a sense of brokenness washing over him. Tom Wong had almost lost the conditions to keep living. With both parents deceased, he couldn't even receive subsistence allowances. "It's really a life worse than a dog's." Not long after, he gave me a call. It was already late at night. I was sound asleep when the phone woke me up. "Rachel, I still want to say to you, I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me. I just got back from the construction site yesterday and finally managed to get a good night's sleep, only to be disturbed by him." I snapped at him irritably. "Tom Wong, are you crazy, calling me in the middle of the night to say this? Rachel, you must really want me dead, right?" he suddenly asked out of the blue. I seemed to realize something, and the last traces of sleepiness vanished instantly. Suddenly opening her eyes, "Tom Wong, what are you trying to do?" His tone was sorrowful. "Rachel, I hope in the next life, we can meet again. If we do, I will never let go of your hand again. I don't want to meet again. You won't give me a chance to make amends." "No need." He silently hung up the phone. I put down my phone and burrowed back under the covers. I soon fell into a deep sleep. The next day, after waking up, I opened my phone, and a news alert popped up. Tom Wong committed suicide. I was stunned. It turned out that Tom Wong had died by carbon monoxide poisoning at home the previous night. He called me to say his final farewell. Well, actually, I'm not sad at all. I just wish him a smooth journey. I only hope that in all our lifetimes, we never meet again. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.